Today we will be discussing the topic of coaching and explore in detail 6 coaching models that are used. It has been proven that in order to be a successful leader, you will need to be successful with the people you are interacting. More recently, it has been shown that to be an effective leader, you also have to be an effective coach. Coaching is a journey of self-discovery and is more about leaders knowing exactly how to help their people find and action their personal best and not doing the work for their team. Regardless of how good you are at your job in terms of performance, and no matter how good the products, services and information you convey to the public about sustainable practices, unless you know about how to get the best from your people, your message will always fall short of its potential. Now, a coaching model is simply a set of guidelines for coaches who then provide ongoing formative support for coaches. A coaching model must include a logistical plan for collaboration with other colleagues and also outline specific strategies for designing, understanding, and reflecting on instruction. Such models also provide for knowledge building, instruction planning, and observation of the goal to be achieved. There are at least 6 characteristics common to all coaching models. Number 1, establishing a role for the coach. Number 2, building knowledge for coachees. Thirdly, choosing instructional strategies. Fourth, making instructional plans. Fifth, reflecting on instructional quality. And sixth, assessing student learning. There is no one right model for all settings, and there are models that would be poor choices depending on the context in which this model is being used and also depending on the desirable outcome that one expects. So now, let's meet the experts when it comes to coaching on their view of the various models that currently exist.
The GROW model was developed by Graham Alexander and was widely used in the 1980s. And continuous development of this model was undertaken by a gentleman named John Whitmore. The GROW model is more of a goal-focused coaching model and sometimes characterized as tell me what you want and I will help you achieve your goal. This model makes the assumption that the client or the coachee knows what goals they want or need to achieve, or that they are capable of defining them with facilitative assistance. These approaches intentionally move individuals quickly through the presenting issues towards defining the goal and developing an action plan and implementing a strategy to achieve it. Generalist coaching is frequently goal-oriented. The GROW model is an example of such a coaching model. I'm going to take you through the stages of the GROW model. The first stage is setting goals. Establish realistic goals and learning contracts. Coaches may ask the following. What would you like to achieve as a result of this session? What would you like to get from the next 30 minutes? And describe your perfect world. Stage 2, reality checking. Coaches explore and validate current situations and understand rationale and goals. Coaches invite learners to describe their current situation and offer self-reflection and insight they currently have. Questions often asked are, where are you in relation to your goal? What has contributed to your success so far? What are the key factors at play here? And how is the situation presenting itself to you right now? And finally, what's working and what's not working? What needs to shift you for you? The third stage is options. Coaches work with learners to brainstorm options as well as possible actions that have already been taken. Questions asked are, what possible options do you have? What can be done to change the situation? How can you move closer towards your goal? How have you overcome this in the past, and what can you leverage from the experience? The fourth stage, the wrap-up. Coaches work with learners to identify specific steps and obstacles, write an action plan, and check for commitment. Which options work best for you? What one small step are you going to take now? What actions will you take? When are you going to start? Who will help you? How will you know you have been successful? And lastly, how will you ensure you do it?
I am now going to take you through the two adaptations of the GROW model. iGROW is an adaptation of the GROW model. In this adaptation, I stands for issues. Sometimes it is useful to spend time looking at the broader context and issues before you start defining goals. The iGROW model can be useful when the coachee is very problem-focused and overwhelmed with the issues at hand. In these situations, pushing them towards a goal may alienate them. The leader or coach must be in tune with the unspoken needs of their team members. However, always very too much time focused on the issues may prevent an effective conversation. The regrow model. I modified my friend Whitmore's GROW model to highlight the iterative process for reviewing and evaluating past coaching sessions and making appropriate adjustments. In the regrow model, learning goals are continually redefined and adjusted, since action between sessions may lead to changed goals. For ongoing coaching sessions or arrangements, the regrow model approach can be useful. The coach reviews the coachee's progress and evaluates the progress towards their goals, taking time for this review and whether agreed action has been taken and followed through. This gives the coach a good indication as to the coachee's engagement toward the change. Like the iGROW approach, be aware of the times, as without diligence to the coaching session, time can be quickly absorbed in the review stage. Be particularly aware of this can be the case in instances of success and distress, as your coachee in both circumstances may have a lot to share or want to discuss.
I'm now going to take you through two different coaching models. The GROW model and the adaptations are excellent tools. However, when goals are already established from above or as part of a project scope, it is useful to use the gap analysis approach. The leader or coach needs to assist the coachee in understanding what is happening right now, then to define where we need to be, and then examine what creates the gap, and then create an action plan for the achievement of these goals. The cigar model is far more linear than the GROW model and is particularly useful when a goal is already defined or there are already organizational objectives, such as projects or timeframes to reach. The coachee does not have the power or authority to set their own goals. Performance coaching is about improving performance over a specific period of time. In the workplace, this could mean between 1 month or 2 years. The coaching is focused on the way that the client sets the goals, overcomes the obstacles, and evaluates and monitors their performance as they work towards these goals. A typical approach is the cigar model. In the cigar model, you assess the current situation, you then detail the ideal outcome, and then analyze how to get from the current situation to your ideal outcome. An action plan is then formulated, and finally you conduct the review process. The second approach that I'm going to be discussing is the radar coaching model. This is employed when there is a need for a more directive approach. There will be times when a manager wants to demonstrate a model, technique, or specific approach to a particular problem, and the radar framework may provide useful guidelines for this type of intervention. This model, in particular, is used primarily for business coaching. The stages of the radar coaching model include initially developing the relationship so that the coachee feels comfortable and not threatened by the intervention. The second stage is to analyze the area of need, the performance gap, and the advantage and opportunities of addressing a particular issue. The third stage involves modeling the correct or ideal behavior and suggesting what needs to be demonstrated to indicate progress. The fourth stage is to encourage the coachee to practice the required behaviors and then provide appropriate feedback. The fifth and final stage is to review and evaluate progress and to take stock of what has been learned and obviously how the learning can be replicated in future.
The outcomes coaching model has been designed to enable managers to understand a more structured approach to coaching their employees, resulting in more depth to their coaching. This enables an increase in more understanding, motivation, and commitment to action. Outcomes provides a more structure by the fact that there are more distinct stages that a manager or coach must adhere to. These are the stages of the outcomes coaching model. Objectives. What is the employee attempting to achieve from the coaching session or business objective? Understand the reasons. This is an important step as it is vital that the reasons behind wanting to achieve the objective are understood. Take stock of the present situation. It is important to spend time analyzing the reality of the present situation so that the manager can establish a baseline. Clarify the gap. Clarify the gap between where they are now and where they need to get to in order to achieve their objective. Options generation. This time needs to be taken to establish different options. The pros and cons of each option need to be discussed. Take your time and allow the employee to generate his or her own options. Motivate to action. Once the options have been discussed and the best way forward agreed, the manager must check the motivation of the employee to move to action and challenge any signs of demotivation. Enthusiasm and encouragement. The manager must at all times show enthusiasm for the objectives ahead and encourage the employee to do their best. Support. The manager must always show support for the employee in the tasks agreed to by assisting where required. Feedback on the outcomes model has been excellent, with managers finding the motivation stage particularly useful.
So there we have it. Now remember that being an effective leader means that you are responsible for your own development, but more importantly, leaders are responsible for the development of others.